The fire crackled in the clearing, the flames dancing against the oncoming twilight. I flipped the meat skewers slowly, savoring the simple rhythm of solitude. The scent of sizzling venison filled the air, mingling with the pine and moss of the northern wilds. This was my escape, 10 days alone, far from screens, cities, and people. Or so I thought. Can I join you? The voice was soft, melodic, yet disarmingly clear. It came from behind me, just beyond the ring of flickering firelight. I froze, hands still clutching the stick. My mind raced. No one should be out here. The nearest hiking trail was 2 days away. My radio was off. I had no cell signal. I turned slowly. She stepped into the glow of the fire, her feet making no sound on the leaves. She wasn't dressed for the wild, no boots or pack, just a faded blue jacket that looked like it belonged to another time. Her pale silver blonde hair was pulled into a loose braid, her green eyes fixed on mine with a mixture of amusement and hunger, not for the meat, but for something else. Something. Searching. You startled me, I said, heart thudding as I stepped back slightly. I'm sorry, she said with a small smile. I smelled your cooking. It's been a while. That smile was unsettlingly serene, like she'd practiced it. She looked human, entirely so. But something about her presence made the night colder. Are you lost? I asked cautiously. There's no towns for miles. She took a slow step forward, eyes locked on mine. I've been walking for a long time. I don't remember the towns anymore. Her words made no sense. She wasn't dirty, not tired, not scratched up from underbrush or thorns. If anything, she looked untouched by the forest. Okay, I said, gesturing toward a flat rock near the fire. Sit. The meat's almost done. She smiled again and sat gracefully, hands in her lap like a polite guest. I tried to ignore the way my skin prickled as I handed her a skewer. She took it with both hands and examined it, turning it like it was some exotic artifact. You're not going to eat? She asked. Already did, I lied. She tilted her head. That's not true. I blinked. Excuse me. You're hungry. I can hear it in your stomach. Why lie? There was no way she could have heard anything. The fire masked all sound, and my body hadn't made a noise. I stared at her, trying to piece it together. Maybe she was some kind of mountain recluse. Maybe she lived off the grid. Then she bit into the meat. She chewed slowly. Her eyes fluttered shut. It's warm. The flavor is familiar. You used dried juniper berries. Clever. I had. But they were ground into the seasoning mix, buried under layers of spice. She shouldn't have been able to detect them so precisely. My hand drifted toward my belt where the small hunting knife rested. She opened her eyes again. You don't need that, she said softly. If I meant you harm, you'd already be gone. The way she said it, so calm, so matter-of-fact, it made my blood turn to ice. I forced a laugh. Sorry. You startled me is all. She nodded, and we sat in silence as the forest whispered around us. After a while, I asked, So, what's your name? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she gazed into the fire. Names are heavy things, she said eventually. But I was once called Elya. Elya, I repeated. She smiled like hearing it aloud made it more real. And you are? Jacob. Jacob. She tasted the name, as if it held some ancient meaning. You live out here? No, she said. I rest here. I remember trees like these. Long ago, they were saplings. How long ago? Long enough that even the stars above us have shifted. I gave a nervous chuckle. You're a poet, huh? She didn't answer. Instead, She looked past me into the dark woods. I followed her gaze but saw only shadows. Then she spoke again. You shouldn't stay past tomorrow. Why? They'll come. Who? She looked at me, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. The others. Like me, but not like me. That night, I barely slept. I kept the fire high and my knife close. When I awoke before dawn, Elya was gone. No footprints. No trace. Just the smell of ash and the faintest impression on the stone where she sat today. Part of me wanted to pack up and leave. But I didn't. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe pride. I stayed. The next evening, as dusk rolled in and I sat with a new fire going, I heard the sound again. Not a voice. This time, it was movement. Heavy. Uneven. Something lumbered through the woods, circling the clearing. I stood, heart pounding. The trees whispered like 1,000 hushed warnings. I held the knife tightly, but I knew it wouldn't matter. Then a shape emerged. It was not human. Tall, gaunt, its skin a pale grey that almost glowed against the fading light. Its eyes were milky white, blind, but somehow still focused on me. And behind it, more followed. 3, no, 4. I stepped back, breath ragged. Then a whisper, just beside my ear, though no one was there. You stayed. I hoped you wouldn't. It was Elya's voice. I turned, and she stood beside me. Only now, her appearance had changed. Her hair shimmered like silver thread. Her eyes glowed faintly green. And the air around her felt charged, humming like tension before lightning. You said they were like you, I managed to say. I am what they were, she said softly. Before they gave up their minds. Their humanity. I broke from them long ago. The creatures hissed and clicked, some strange guttural language that made my skin crawl. They seemed afraid to approach Elya but stayed circling us like predators. What do they want? I asked. You. Your warmth. Your life. Then what do you want? I want to protect something again, she said. Even if just this once. She stepped forward, her body flickering briefly with unnatural light. The air vibrated. One of the creatures lunged, and with a wave of her hand, it turned to ash. The others shrieked and scattered into the woods. I stood there, stunned. She turned to me, her form beginning to fade. Leave in the morning, she said. This place is no longer safe. Will you be here? She shook her head. No. My part is done. But who are you? What are you? She gave me a tired smile. I was someone once. Like you. But I saw things. Was changed. I stayed behind because I hoped I could find that part of myself again. And did you? She looked at me, her green eyes softer now. Tonight, maybe I did. Then she was gone. The next morning, I broke camp in silence. The forest felt heavier, colder. But the danger was gone, or at least, kept at bay. As I hiked back through the thick woods, I couldn't stop replaying her voice. Can I join you? She had said it so gently, like she knew it might be the last time she ever got to ask that question. Back at the trailhead, before I got into my truck, I turned and looked one last time at the endless trees. And I whispered, yes.